top. Before you spend another 1982 quarter, take a closer look. It may seem like just another 25-cent coin, something you've carried in your pocket hundreds of times, something you've tossed into a vending machine without a second thought. But what if that ordinary-looking quarter has a story that stretches back more than 40 years? Imagine walking into a small convenience store somewhere in America. You buy a bottle of water. The cashier counts your change and places 3 quarters into your hand. You glance at them for only a second. Then one date catches your eye. 1982. At first, nothing seems unusual. The familiar portrait of George Washington. The eagle on the reverse. The same design millions of Americans recognize instantly. But experienced collectors know something that most people don't. Every coin tells a story, and some stories become far more interesting when you look closely. The year 1982 was an important time for America. Millions of Washington quarters were already circulating through stores, restaurants, banks, movie theaters, and gas stations across the country. Every day, these coins changed hands countless times. Some traveled across entire states. Others remained in the same town for decades. Every scratch, every tiny mark, every sign of wear became another page in the coin's history. Now imagine where your 1982 quarter may have been. Perhaps it helped someone buy their first movie ticket. Maybe it paid for a family road trip snack during the summer of 1983. Perhaps it sat inside an old piggy bank throughout the 1990s, before returning to circulation years later. No one knows. That's what makes coin collecting so fascinating. Every coin has lived a life that no document can fully record. Collectors don't simply search for expensive coins. They search for stories. They search for history. And they search for the small details that millions of people overlook every single day. Imagine opening an old coin jar, passed down by a family member. Dust covers the lid. Inside are hundreds of forgotten coins collected over decades. You pour them onto the table, pennies, nickels, dimes, then dozens of quarters. One after another, you begin checking the dates. 1979, 1986, 1994, the 1982. You stop, not because you expect it to be extraordinary, but because experience has taught you that every coin deserves a closer look. You hold it beneath a bright white light, slowly rotate it between your fingers. Immediately, the surface begins reflecting light. Washington's portrait appears sharp. The lettering looks crisp. The rim remains complete. You compare it with another 1982 quarter. Then another. Suddenly you notice something. No 2 coins have aged exactly the same. One coin has spent decades in heavy circulation. Another has remained remarkably well preserved. That difference alone makes collectors pause. Condition matters. Original mint luster matters. Sharp details matter. Because once a coin loses those original surfaces, they can never truly be restored. That is why experienced collectors always recommend one simple rule: never clean a coin. Even gentle polishing can leave tiny scratches that reduce collector appeal. Instead, leave the coin exactly as you found it. Study it, compare it, learn from it. The more quarters you examine, the more your eyes begin noticing details that once seemed invisible. That's how every experienced collector begins. Not with expensive equipment, not with rare discoveries, but with curiosity. One coin at a time, one lesson at a time, one discovery after another, and somewhere, inside an old bankroll, a forgotten dresser drawer, or perhaps even the loose change sitting in your pocket right now. Another fascinating 1982 Washington quarter could be waiting for someone curious enough to notice it. Another fascinating 1982 Washington quarter could be waiting in the most unexpected place. Think about how many quarters change hands across America every single day. Millions. They move through coffee shops, gas stations, supermarkets, parking meters, airports, and banks. Almost nobody stops to check the date. Almost nobody wonders where that coin has been for the last 4 decades. Collectors do. Imagine waking up early on a Saturday morning. You decide to visit your local bank and ask for a box of quarter rolls. The teller smiles and places several unopened rolls on the counter. To everyone else, they're simply coins. To you, there are 40 opportunities in every roll. You arrive home and carefully place the rolls on your desk. A bright LED light shines above the table. A magnifying glass sits beside a notebook where you record interesting finds. You open the first roll. The sound of metal sliding across the table fills the room. One by one, you begin checking every quarter. Chain 90, chain 1986, 1997, chain 95. Nothing unusual. Then, a beautiful 1982 Washington quarter appears. Immediately, something feels different. The coin reflects the light with a bright, smooth glow. Washington's portrait looks bold. The lettering appears crisp. The rim is complete and well-defined. Instead of celebrating, you begin asking questions. Has this coin been preserved unusually well? Has it spent years tucked away in a collection? Or has it simply been lucky enough to avoid heavy circulation? Experienced collectors never jump to conclusions. They investigate. The first thing they examine is the surface. Original mint luster creates a beautiful cartwheel effect. When the coin is tilted beneath a bright light, that flowing band of light is one of the first signs collectors search for. Unfortunately, every trip through circulation slowly removes that original finish. Coins rub against keys. Other coins, cash register trays, countertops. Year after year, tiny marks slowly build across the surface. That's why finding a well-preserved 1982 quarter becomes more exciting every year. Collectors also study the strike quality. Every quarter begins life as a plain metal planchet. Inside the United States Mint, enormous presses stamp the design into that blank, using tremendous pressure. Fresh dies produce bold, sharp details. But after striking hundreds of thousands of coins, steel dies begin showing signs of wear. Some quarters display exceptionally sharp lettering. Others appear softer. Tiny differences become easier to recognize when several coins are placed side by side. Comparison is one of the most powerful tools a collector has. The longer you compare coins, the more details your eyes begin noticing. Many collectors also inspect the coin under magnification. A simple 10x loop can reveal fascinating details, invisible to the naked eye. Tiny die cracks, minute die chips, small polishing lines left on the dies. These aren't mistakes made after the coin entered circulation. They're clues left behind during the minting process itself. Each one tells another chapter of the coin's creation. Collectors often say that every coin has 2 stories. The first story begins inside the mint. The second begins the moment the coin enters circulation. Some stories last only days before the coin becomes heavily worn. Others continue for decades, while the coin remains remarkably well preserved. No 2 journeys are exactly alike. That's what makes searching so exciting. Every roll, every coin jar, every handful of change could contain a coin with a story unlike any other, and perhaps the next remarkable 1982 Washington quarter is already closer than you think. Maybe it's sitting quietly inside your wallet. Maybe it's hidden in an old family collection. Or maybe it's waiting inside the very next roll of quarters you decide to search. Maybe it's waiting inside the very next roll of quarters you decide to search. That's the mystery that keeps collectors coming back again and again. Every search begins with hope. Not because every quarter is extraordinary, but because every quarter deserves a closer look. Imagine visiting a weekend coin show somewhere in America. The room is filled with collectors of every age. Some are searching for vintage silver coins. Others are studying rare mint sets. Across the room, one collector quietly examines a tray of Washington quarters. You walk over. Among dozens of different dates, one coin catches your attention. 82, the dealer places it under a bright lamp. Immediately, the surfaces come alive. The original mint luster moves across the coin like waves of light. Washington's portrait appears sharp. The lettering is bold. The reverse design remains beautifully detailed. Even after more than 40 years, the coin still looks impressive. You begin wondering, how did this quarter survive in such beautiful condition? Perhaps someone placed it inside a collection shortly after it was released. Maybe it remained inside an unopened bankroll for years. Or perhaps it simply escaped the heavy wear that affected millions of other quarters. No one knows for certain, and that's exactly what makes coin collecting so fascinating. Every coin carries mysteries that may never be fully answered. Collectors also understand that patience is one of their greatest tools. Sometimes they search through hundreds of quarters without finding anything unusual. Sometimes thousands, but they never stop learning. Because every coin teaches another lesson. Every comparison trains the eye. Every search improves observation skills. Imagine receiving change after buying lunch. You glance at the quarters before putting them into your wallet. Most people would never notice anything special. But now, your eyes automatically check the date. You smile. Back at home, you place it beside several other 1982 quarters. Immediately, differences begin to appear. One coin has stronger details. Another has brighter surfaces. One displays almost no wear. Another clearly spent decades in circulation. Suddenly, coins that once looked identical now appear completely different. That's the moment many collectors remember forever. The moment they stopped seeing pocket change and started seeing history. Another important habit among experienced collectors is careful storage. Coins with attractive original surfaces deserve protection. Many collectors use archival quality holders to help reduce unnecessary handling and preserve the coin's condition over time. They always hold coins by the edges. Avoid touching the faces and never attempt to polish away natural toning or wear. Original surfaces are part of the coin's story. Once they're gone, they can never truly be replaced. Collectors often say, the best discoveries happen when you least expect them. Inside a forgotten coffee can, an old family safe, a drawer that hasn't been opened for years, a piggy bank from childhood, or even a handful of change received on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. History has a funny way of hiding in plain sight. That's why millions of Americans unknowingly carry fascinating coins every single day. The difference is simple. Most people spend them. Collectors study them. And every once in a while, that careful attention leads to a discovery worth remembering. Because somewhere. Another 1982 Washington quarter is still waiting. Waiting for someone curious enough, patient enough, and observant enough to recognize that an ordinary coin can hold an extraordinary story. Another 1982 Washington quarter is still waiting. Waiting for someone curious enough, patient enough, and observant enough to recognize that an ordinary coin can hold an extraordinary story. Imagine it's late on a quiet Sunday evening. You decide to empty the loose change from your wallet onto the kitchen table. A few pennies, some nickels, a couple of dimes, and several Washington quarters. Normally, you would put them into a jar without another thought, but this time, something is different. You've learned what experienced collectors see. Instead of rushing, you slow down. You pick up the first quarter, nothing unusual, the second, then the third. 1982, you place it beneath a bright light. Slowly rotate it from side to side. The light moves smoothly across the surface. Washington's portrait remains surprisingly bold. The lettering is crisp. The eagle on the reverse still shows impressive detail. For a moment, you stop thinking about money. Instead, you begin thinking about history. Where has this coin traveled? How many people have carried it? How many cities has it visited? Perhaps it was handed to a child buying candy in 1982. Perhaps it paid for a newspaper during the 1980s. Maybe it traveled across America inside the pocket of a truck driver. Perhaps it sat forgotten inside a family coin jar for 20 years before returning to circulation. No computer can answer those questions. No document records that journey. Only the coin carries those silent memories. And that mystery is one of the reasons coin collecting has fascinated millions of Americans for generations. Collectors understand that every coin deserves respect, not because every coin is rare, not because every coin is valuable, but because every coin represents a small piece of American history that has survived through decades of everyday life. The longer you collect, the more exciting simple discoveries become. One beautifully preserved quarter, one unusual minting characteristic, one coin with exceptional eye appeal. Those moments create memories that last a lifetime. Many experienced collectors say their favorite discovery wasn't the most expensive coin they ever found. It was the coin they discovered themselves. The one hidden in ordinary pocket change. The one everyone else overlooked. That's a feeling money can't buy. That's the true reward of coin collecting. Before you spend another quarter, take 10 extra seconds. Check the date. Look at the mint mark if there is one. Study the condition. Compare it with another coin. Those few seconds might teach you something new. And one day, they may lead you to a discovery you'll never forget. Whether your 1982 quarter becomes part of your collection or simply reminds you to appreciate the history carried by everyday coins, you've already gained something valuable: knowledge, curiosity, patience, and a new way of looking at the change in your pocket. Thank you for spending time with us here on Hidden Coin Digest. If you enjoy discovering hidden stories behind America's coins, learning about Washington quarters, exploring fascinating minting history, and becoming a smarter collector, then you're exactly where you belong. Subscribe to Hidden Coin Digest, turn on the notification bell, and join thousands of coin enthusiasts who never stop searching for history hidden in everyday pocket change. Every new video brings another coin, another mystery, and another exciting story waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and leave a comment below. What's the oldest Washington quarter you've ever found in your pocket change? Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, keep checking every coin, because the next quarter you receive could be the one that starts your greatest collecting story. We'll see you in the next Hidden Coin Digest video.